Madness has long fascinated filmmakers because it sits at the threshold between the human and the unknowable. Cinema, as an art of vision and perception, naturally gravitates towards the unstable mind, the mind that sees differently, distorts reality, or rebels against it altogether. Madness in film is never just about the loss of sanity. It's a reflection of society, a critique of order, and a question: what exactly does it mean to be sane in a world that often isn't? Milos Forman's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest stands as one of cinema's most piercing dissections of institutional madness. Set within the rigid confines of a psychiatric hospital, the film becomes a battleground between individual freedom and oppressive control. Jack Nicholson's R.P. McMurphy, a man feigning insanity to escape prison labour, collides head-on with Nurse Ratched, the embodiment of cold, bureaucratic authority. But who is truly mad? The patients who laugh, rebel, and feel? Or the system that crushes their spirits in the name of treatment? Forman forces us to reconsider whether sanity is a moral or a social construct, something granted by those in power rather than an inherent quality. McMurphy's laughter, though chaotic, becomes an act of resistance. His madness is freedom masquerading as illness. By contrast, Ratchet's composure hides a far deeper sickness, the pathological need to control. The film's closing moments with Chief Bromden's silent escape do not celebrate the triumph of reason, but rather the liberation of the spirit. Madness here becomes a kind of salvation, a break from the mechanical cruelty of order. If Cuckoo's Nest externalizes madness as social struggle, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining internalizes it as supernatural horror. The Overlook Hotel is less a setting than a sentient labyrinth, a mirror reflecting Jack Torrance's disintegration. The film's long, symmetrical shots and eerie silences create an unsettling atmosphere where time and identity begin to collapse. Jack Nicholson's performance, wild-eyed, manic and magnetic, embodies the tension between madness as descent and madness as revelation. The phrase, typed endlessly on his typewriter, becomes a symbol of both creative obsession and mental decay. Is Jack's madness born from isolation, from alcoholism, from the supernatural forces of the hotel, or from the impossible expectations of masculinity and ambition? Kubrick offers no answers, only reflections, as in the film's final shot where Jack's face appears in a photograph from 1921. The implication is chilling. Perhaps madness is cyclical, eternal, woven into the architecture of human existence. The brilliance of The Shining lies in how it blurs the boundaries between the real and the imagined. The ghosts are less entities than projections of the psyche, fragments of Jack's guilt, frustration, and rage. Kubrick doesn't show madness as a break from reality, but as the unveiling of a truth reality itself conceals. Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan and Todd Phillips' Joker extend this theme of inner fracture into the modern age. In Black Swan, Nina Sayers, portrayed by Natalie Portman, spirals into obsession, perfectionism, and psychosis as she prepares for the dual role of the white and black swan. Her madness becomes the cost of artistic transcendence, the sacrifice of self at the altar of performance. The line between identity and role dissolves. The more she becomes the black swan, the less she remains Nina. A haunting testament to madness as both destruction and fulfillment. Joker, meanwhile, turns madness outward, exposing it as a social epidemic rather than a personal flaw. Arthur Fleck's slow transformation into the Joker is not simply a descent into insanity, but a response to a world that refuses empathy. The film asks a disturbing question. If cruelty and neglect are normal, isn't madness the only sane response? His laughter, uncontrollable, painful, becomes the film's central paradox, a sound of both joy and agony, rebellion and despair. Both films suggest that madness is not an aberration of society, but its reflection. The mad are not born different. They are made different by the worlds that fail them. Cinematic madness is not only a narrative theme, but an aesthetic strategy. Directors often distort space, time, and perspective to mimic the instability of the mind. In The Shining, the impossible architecture of the Overlook disorientates both Jack and the audience. In Black Swan, mirrors fragment the image until reality itself feels performative. In Fight Club, the film's grain, editing, and self-referentiality, even its literal film burn, pull the viewer into the protagonist's dissociative state. These films do not merely depict madness, they make us experience it. Cinema, then, becomes a laboratory for consciousness, a medium uniquely suited to visualizing the invisible, to making us question whether what we see is real or merely the flicker of our own projections. Perhaps the enduring power of madness in film lies in its unsettling honesty. The madman exposes the illusions we live by of order, control, meaning. McMurphy, Jack Torrance, Nina Sayers, Arthur Fleck, each embodies the dangerous possibility that madness is not the opposite of sanity, but its consequence. If madness is rebellion against a sick society or the price of seeing too clearly, then perhaps it is not the mad who are broken, but the world that drives them mad. And so, we leave the cinema haunted by questions rather than answers. What if the line between sanity and madness is not a boundary but a mirror? What if, in our pursuit of order, we have exiled the most human parts of ourselves, the irrational, the passionate, the free? And what if the truest madness of all is pretending to be sane in a world that has lost its mind?